YouTube. Right. I'll let you know.
You're awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
I'm your host, Natalie Sadie.
Let's drink.
Let's have shots.
There you go. You can have a final tagline. Let's drink if you want to go that far.
No, let's not.
I'm
no.
going to be.
We have people with that sort of thing. All right, go for it when you're ready. Hold on.
Yep, rolling on the box, and we're rolling on YouTube whenever you guys are ready.
All right.
Welcome to the very first episode of Sadie Says. I am your host, Natalie Sadie. Joining me today is an actor that you will recognise from The Guiding Light.
Yeah, I mean,
shit.
well, I did do Guiding Light a long time ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mad Men, but most recently, okay.
You got it. That was good. Yeah.
Good, just take it again.
Sure.
Okay,
I like that.
I got so close.
That's good. You were there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to the very first episode of Sadie Says. I'm your host, Natalie Sadie. And joining me today is somebody you will recognise from The Guiding Light, Mad Men, but most recently playing Scotty Granger on Young and the Restless. Welcome, Daniel Hall.
Thank you for being and thank you for having me. This
Well,
is a
thank
wonderful.
you for joining me. First episode.
I didn't even realize it was your first episode.
Yes.
You're a pro.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I tried. So you actually have this incredible resume with Scotty
you.
Granger
Yeah.
being the last.
That was probably
sort
the
of-
most recent credit. Yeah. But Scotty Granger now has grown up. Scott Granger.
Oh, he's
Yeah, that's
Scott
what they
now.
want the fans to know him as now, Scott Granger. Because
But
he
he-
was on the show. His character's been on the show since he was a kid, but he's been off the show for 10 years. And now he's grown up into me. He's changed actors' hands a few times, but yeah.
But he's actually left the show again.
For now, yeah, he's out in France, and I think France and England, traveling around and chasing some jewels. But, you know, soaps, the storylines come in and out, it ebbs and flows. And, you know,
How did it feel after 12 months having him sort of be written out of the show for the moment?
Yeah. You know, it was kind of an interesting thing, but a lot of things came into that. There was a maternity leave with one of my love interests. I cheated on Sharon, and she's Queen Sharon.
And fans were
Yeah.
really upset about that.
If you do Sharon wrong, you are done. I literally was like checking my fan mail for, you know, any sort of anthrax. I'm teasing, but like, no, honestly, they really did not like that I cheated on Sharon. They're like, how could you?
No, I read
So,
articles
yeah.
about how when you started out on the show, fans were saying you better treat Sharon right.
This is very true. Yeah, you have to. I mean, Sharon has been on the show for, I think, 20-something years. Okay. And she has literally been the homestay of married to the Newmans, married to other guys too. I think Steve Burton played a character she actually was married to for a while. He now is on GH. So I know Michael Teschner is a friend and family friend of like the Focus magazine group. And so yeah, GH is kind of also within that world too for Sharon. She's kind of been around for a long time. So.
Well, she's everywhere, and she's certainly got the fan base. But
Yeah.
going back to all your previous credits, you've worked on some big shows. You've
Yeah.
done Law and Order, SVU, you've done Mad Men, you've grandfathered with John
Grandfather,
Stamos.
John Stamos.
So of all the shows that you've been on and all the people you've worked with, who would you say is your favourite?
To be honest with you, Chris Maloney. Chris Maloney from back in Law and Order. He was like one of the most warm, welcoming stars on the show. He really helped me learn to like where to look when it was at the club. Make sure you don't look into the camera, but you have to look just off the camera in order not to lose your eye line. Mm-hmm. He's probably the most fun guy on set. So Chris Maloney.
And that was one of your earlier shows.
That was my first guest star. Yeah.
And you mentioned to me earlier that you've actually worked with Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin, yeah. I did a little bit of a co-star on Newsroom. And Sorkin was the first guy, actually second guy from the director I met. And they walked me out of my car. They were running late. And they're like, let's go. So they didn't even go to base camp. I went right to set, got to do a camera rehearsal. But the first person I met after the director was Aaron Sorkin. And I was kind of like, you know, I was a little green at that time too. So I was really flustered. I was like, Mr. Sorkin, hi. And so the scene plays out like this. I have to say one line that I just decided to add, listen, to the front of it. Listen, I'd like to buy you a drink. And so I do the take, and they stop. The supervisor, line supervisor, runs over, and she's like, this is an Aaron Sorkin project. You cannot add lines. You cannot take them out. The line is, I'd like to buy you a drink. Not listen, I'd like to buy you a drink. Nothing else can be said, but she was really sweet about it.
No
but
wiggle room
it
at
was
all.
literally, this is Aaron Sorkin. You do not change the words at all. And I was like, enough said. The next two takes, I flubbed the lines because I was so concerned with what I was saying.
Well,
But-
that's a problem. When you become so focused,
Yes.
it's hard to sometimes get the words out.
Yes, exactly.
One of the fun things that I discovered about you when I was reading up is that you've actually been, is it 4 separate video games?
Yeah, yeah. I did quite a few with Rockstar. That was the company I worked with a lot. We did my most interesting and I think one of the biggest games that I did was beyond Grand Theft Auto, which was controversial to say the least. It's a pretty violent game.
Yes.
Was Red Dead Redemption. And I got to do a lot of motion capture and a lot of voiceovers for John Marston and other characters show on the game, but it feels like a show, it feels like a movie.
So it's not just voice?
No, motion capture, you put on the whole mocap suits with the silver balls and you would literally go in a sound stage. They call it a volume or yeah, just a soundstage volume. It's about 150 cameras and they all pick up your movement and every suit is very specific to each actor. So each ball is sort of what they call, they kind of, it's almost like a diagram that's very specific to each person. So they do a little thing where you do a T pose and then you sort of do a different thing that like shows exactly how your balls are positioned. It's a funny thing to say. It's a funny thing to say, but it's truly how it's very specific, and then they know exactly which character is under each skin, so you don't have to guess later in the game. But yeah.
And how long does filming all of that take for it to then go into the video game and make it a possibility?
Oh boy, probably it depends on how the escape of the game or the scope of the game. And with Red Dead Redemption, it was a full world, so it was like literally you could travel across the world. So it took them years to do, and probably over a year to shoot.
Wow.
Over a year.
So how long was your shooting on that?
4 or 5 months, off and on. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
As an actor, that's a great gig though.
Very good gig. You get paid per day, and there's overtime, and you got paid back then to do each character. So if you played 3, 4 characters that day, you got like a very nice day rate. So
for video games, is it just a general contract, or do you get residuals like you do if you're an actor on a TV show?
It's changing. Okay. It's changing. Back then, no residuals. Now it's more, you can get like a percentage, but it's not quite where the actors want it to be yet, but hopefully that will change in the future. But
I mean, that whole world is just constantly evolving.
It's tough, and now, I mean, the same thing's happening with digital media and like online streaming stuff. It's like, how do we do residuals for that? It's tricky. How do you know that people are watching it? How do you know how many views have been watched? How do you know if it's been watched all the way through? So it's tricky. I don't know how they're going to work it out, but hopefully they do soon. But.
Some lawyer in an office will figure it all out.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you're actually quite musical, and you come from a very musical family.
Yes.
So what instruments do you play?
I still play a little bit of tenor sax, guitar, I sing, but primarily I am an actor. But I would say I'm an actor who can sing and play a little bit of music.
Now, I'm taking this somewhere, and I don't know if you know where I'm going, but your dad was an opera singer, and he performed at the Met.
He sang at the Met for many years. He's a tenor. So we kind of have a perfect little setup. My dad's a tenor, I'm a bass baritone, my sister's a soprano, my mother's an alto. So we have 4-part harmony sort of built into our family, and it's kind of awesome.
Okay, so this is where I'm going with this. You actually perform with your family once a year to raise funds for your mum's charity.
My mom's, well, it's actually, I think I gave you a little bit of misinformation, but it's called Stu Leonard's Water Safety, and it's through Stewie the Duck. And Stu Leonard's is a grocery store, and he's famous for being the world's largest dairy store. But he tragically lost his firstborn son in a drowning accident at his house. And so he's been, ever since that day, he started this charity to raise awareness to, young kids, put on their floaties and swimmers, and everyone who's at the party, make sure they have eyes on the children at all times. And that's what the seeds go to.
Oh, so that's not for
no,
music
my mom
for children.
We give our singing and talent to be there to draw the crowd that they can then raise money and awareness for that event. So.
It's incredible, and it's such an important cause. I mean, children should be in swimming lessons very early on, but it's all about having the eyes.
Yes.
I almost lost a sister to drowning when she was very little because people were told to look out for her.
Yes.
Everybody thought everybody else was doing it.
I know. It's sort of that thing. It's like it's mentality where you think it's being taken care of. Like same thing happens when something happens on the street. Oh, someone's probably calling 911.
Yeah.
No, just do it. Overcall. It's okay.
Yes.
So same thing with water safety. Make sure everyone's watching. And it's okay if everyone's watching. It's great because that kid will be there at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So.
But okay. So, oh my gosh, there are so many questions.
I know.
Okay, so.
It's a short interview with a lot to talk about. So, yeah.
But so, when I read about your family performing, I immediately thought of the Von Trapp family.
Ah, yes.
And the Brady Bunch. And are these comparisons you've heard before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think the Von Trapp family is pretty probably the most accurate. We've been singing together since I was 5. I did my first concert in kindergarten, And I remember I had a girlfriend, and I remember her sitting in the front row, and I was just like, I sang to her.
Oh
it
my
was my
gosh.
first like puppy. No, it was cute. It was really
No,
cute.
I love
was
that.
my dad actually was like nervous, I think, and he lost his line. He was singing a song somewhere out there from Fievel, if you remember this cartoon back, animated movie. And he lost his line. He started looping the same line. This little 5-year-old kid, we had it on video. He walks over to him and I go, and I sing it to him. He's like, ah, and he sings. So I was sort of like already ready to go at that young age. But I remember being so nervous. I was backstage, and there's a thing that happens to a lot of people. They feel like they have to pee.
Yeah.
And so I remember being backstage,
Guilty.
Mom, I gotta pee. And they were like, it's gonna go away. Just get out there, we gotta go. So we got on stage and we did a great concert. I mean, it was cute. But we've been doing this since I was 5 years old.
Because that for me is the dream childhood.
Yeah.
I grew up in a house where we loved music, but no musicality.
No music.
Tone deaf,
Yes, you
so-
told me. I don't believe you. What we won't do it here, but let's
No, we
when
won't
we
do
get
it
done
here.
with this, we'll do a little. I want to see just how far tone deaf you are. I want to see.
Oh, it's pretty bad.
We'll work on it.
The day I let it out, everyone beware.
There's going to be an episode down the road where we're going to have to do it. Yeah.
It may involve some tequila or vodka first, let me tell
No
you.
problem. I love tequila. That's perfect. We'll do it.
Okay, so we've just talked about 2 charities
Yeah.
that you're involved with. Your charity Music for Children.
And yeah, Art of Elysium, and also a company that is not a charity, but it's a give and get platform where you can travel and be eco-friendly. It's called Kind Traveler. And traveler.com is incredible. Check out the site. I mean, I think you actually looked at it.
I did go and have a
Incredibly
look at it.
well done. Sean Cresci and his wife have done an amazing thing. So Sean and Jessica have really just changed the whole game with eco-friendly travel. And it's something you should definitely check out. But.
So I just need to say, I went and looked at the website and it is so beautifully done. And what people can actually do is go through, and there are special deals on the site so that they get great accommodation deals.
Yep.
But $10 a night goes to a charity.
Yeah, I'll break it down. Basically, you have to give a minimum of $10, so $10, and then you get up to 20% off your hotel stay. So by giving to charity, you end up saving money. You know what I mean?
And you
It's a
get to-
no-brainer. Yeah,
and you
yeah.
get to pick the charity.
And you can, you actually set up your profile based on the types of things you like to give back to. So if you're into Red Cross types of things, giving blood and PETA or whatever types of shows or programs you want to give back to, you set up your profile for that. So then when you travel, you can give to those things locally. Is the big key, is locally giving back. And then they can set you up if you want to volunteer while you're on your trip at anything. They give you sort of outlets to do that.
And in a world where we're leaning towards ecotourism and all these things, I mean, I imagine it's sort of just gaining strength and popularity.
It is amazing how fast they've grown. They started their first year, I think one of their first hotels was Richard Branson's, I can't remember the name of it, but Richard Branson's hotel, I think it was in Chicago, was their first location that they got. So he signed on, and then once a guy like Richard Branson signs on, the water's warm. Everybody starts, and rightfully so. It's an incredible, incredible company.
I've worked with Richard Branson before in a modelling capacity.
Seems like a
but
nice guy. I've never
he is
met
really lovely.
Yeah.
We were all body painted. This is just a random story. He came in off a flight from the UK and literally stripped down to his underwear and then
He
held.
wanted to make you comfortable.
Yeah, but held the big credit card that we were doing the shoot for in front of him, and we got this incredible shot.
So he
But
looks nude right behind the car. So you think he's nude? Yeah.
Yes, but thankfully
applied nudity. Yeah, that's
thankfully he was not, because he's
I'm sure he's
lovely,
ripped.
but
I'm sure he's very okay.
he's lovely.
He's a lovely guy. He's very handsome. He's very handsome and charming.
The other thing that I just wanted to touch on with Kind Traveller was when you go to the website and you actually select which charity you want to give to, it shows you what their goal to make for the year is and how close they are to it. So you get to see.
So you can feel
how
like you're
much
part
you're
of
helping
something.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You feel like you're a part of that end game, the goal for that company, and it makes you feel like you're actually doing something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Art of Elysium.
Art of Elysium, incredible company and charity, and they actually are a nonprofit, and it's been the best thing I've done out here in LA. I'm more proud of the work I do with them than any other job I've done. Just to be able to see kids light up and feel like they actually have control of a situation, because one of the biggest things that Shannon Going kind of runs the art and theatrical and bringing in the actors, and so she always says the biggest thing that we get to do is to give these kids the sense of control in that hour that we're there, because all day they're being stuck with needles and prodded and told you can't eat this, you can't do that, you can't open your mouth, you can't close the door, you can't, all these things. And so we get to let them choose, like, hey, what kind of game do you want to do today? Do you want to make a movie trailer. We'll sometimes shoot movie trailers with little iPad apps, and Apple has some really great iPad apps that really make it easy and user-friendly. And we do all kinds of stuff, and they feel like they have control of their day for that hour. And it's a beautiful thing because they feel just like they're the boss. And there's nothing better than feeling like boss for 5 minutes, you know.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
especially in a world where you have zero control.
Zero,
So they're
yeah.
the kids that you go out to see. But
Yeah.
Art of Elysium also is a platform for young filmmakers
Yes.
to create feature films.
Yes, feature films. They did start an actual outlet for that. We've also most recently did a play. We did a whole Sunday of short 1X. So we had a group of senior citizens, these wonderful folks at a senior citizen home who wrote 1X with other writers. And then we also had high school kids who wrote with other really esteemed writers. And then we came in, the actors filled in those places, and I directed one of them. And it was just a beautiful thing to be able to watch the kids and the seniors watch their stuff be put up and see these words for the first time come out of someone's mouth. And these are like very working actors, so it's kind of fun to watch celebrities doing your work. Your first play, you know, it's kind of cool.
So when I was reading up on Art of Elysium,
Mm-hmm.
they were talking about the actors that do go in and work on the projects
Sure.
and things like that. And it's people like, I mean, other than yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you've got Whoopi Goldberg and Kristen Wiig. These are
They have
big names.
massive, yeah. John Legend performed at the most recent little charity ball we did. John Legend, Stevie Wonder was there. Just a massive, talented group. Nick Kroll, a comedian, did the hosting, and I was just so happy to be a part of that evening. I was invited as a guest of Art of Elysium. The tickets are not cheap because it all goes to charity, which is good. But it was an incredible evening, and they do have such a talent pool that they work with. It's awesome.
In an industry, I guess, where it's so hard to get a step up and be able to do something, to have something like that to support the younger talent is actually
It's
amazing.
Awesome. I mean, that's what they always say is, you know, kids are the future. You give them the knowledge to grow, and you're going to have a better country, a better world. So hopefully that's what we're doing.
And also, what a way to discover future talent, because some people it's just in them.
Sometimes
it's not
they're
even
just
a learned
genius.
thing.
I have a feeling John Legend was a badass singer when he was a kid. I don't think he actually that's in him. I mean, you can just tell that comes out of him like it's just like slicing through butter. It's like it's beautiful. Yeah.
What a perfect way to say it.
Yeah.
Now we are running out of time.
Sure.
Is there something you could share with our viewers?
Mm-hmm.
Something that they would not possibly know about you?
Okay, I'm gonna look into the camera on this one. I want to get you guys. I had a few things I thought about because I heard you do this. So the one that's the least embarrassing, I may leak out one last thing, but is I love plants, and what I do with them, I have a very personal relationship. So I will name them, I touch them, I talk to them, I give them enthusiastic moments of like, you're doing great, come on, I want to see you, you know, if they're wilting, I talk to my plants probably more than I should. But that's kind of my little quirk. Yeah, and the other one I'll save for maybe the next interview. There's a funny one, but it's something to do with my toes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued.
It's pretty, it's funny.
I need to know.
It's funny, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, I appreciate it. And we'll talk about trivia next time. I heard you're a trivia buff, so.
I am a trivia buff. I love random facts.
Yeah.
So that is the very first episode of
The easy.
I got so close.
You were awesome.
Okay.
You did great. I love it.
Stand by. Okay, take the overhead shot.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the BTS shot.
Right, go ahead and thank him for coming again.
Sure.
Take it, hold up, let me get it there. 1 second of silence or whatever, and then she can
You did
start saying
awesome.
it.
That was great. Yeah, I was like, what am I saying? That's fine. Okay.
Okay, you can start saying it now.
Well, thank you so much for joining
It was
me.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That is the very first episode of Sadie Says. Daniel Hall, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Until next time, I'm Natalie Sadie.
Awesome. I was like, these can't get that long-winded. I want her to be able to get through her questions.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
It was, I
I think you
actually.
got